Evan Ross always believed he had a thick skin, but that evening proved he was wrong. His family had gathered for their usual Sunday dinner tradition. His mother guarded more fiercely than anything else in the world. The dining room glowed with warm yellow lights, the scent of roasted chicken and herbs filling the air. Everyone chatted with easy laughter, forks and glasses clinking while the old clock ticked on the wall. It should have been comforting. It should have felt like home instead. Evan felt like he was sitting in a place where he didn't quite belong anymore. He arrived a little late, as usual. His mother gave him her predictable, playful scolding as he shrugged off his coat and found his seat at the table. She always complained about his timing, his habits, his job not giving him enough structure, yet she always hugged him tightly before letting him sit. It was a familiar dance, and normally he didn't mind. But tonight, he felt unusually tense. Maybe it was because he hadn't slept well. Maybe it was because he missed Mara more than he wanted to admit. Or maybe it was because he had been carrying a secret on his shoulders for months. So heavy it felt like it could crush him if he let his guard slip for even a second. His mother, unaware of the invisible weight pressing on her son, made her usual jokes about his age. 35, she sighed dramatically, and still no woman in sight. Evan, sweetheart, I'm starting to think you're waiting for a miracle to land in your lap. Everyone at the table laughed. His aunt giggled behind her napkin. His cousin smirked as if he'd heard this speech 100 times and still found it amusing. His dad smiled without looking up from his plate. Even his teenage niece let out a small snort. But Evan didn't laugh. He forced a polite smile. But his heart tightened in a way he wasn't prepared for. He wasn't single. Not even close. His mother continued in her dramatic tone, waving her hand like she was delivering a speech on a stage. You know what I told Martha from next door? I said, no wonder he's still single at 35. He works too much. He thinks too hard, and he never brings anyone home. She laughed loudly. Poor boy is going to be alone forever at this rate. The room erupted again. Lighthearted, harmless. Just family teasing the way they always did. But in Evan's chest, something twisted sharply. Because while his mother joked about his loneliness, the truth was sitting miles away in a small apartment, probably sipping tea and waiting for him to return. Mara, his wife. His secret wife? The woman he loved so deeply that he married her quietly in a courthouse with only 2 friends present as witnesses. The woman whose hair he kissed every morning before leaving for work. The woman who had slipped into his life so gently yet filled it so completely. He had sworn he would tell his family soon. He had rehearsed the words 1,000 times. But each time he stood in front of them, each time he saw their expectations, each time he heard his mother say things like, "You deserve someone who fits into our family," the words evaporated. His courage cracked. His fear grew stronger. His silence grew deeper. As the teasing continued, Evan moved food around on his plate without actually eating. His stomach felt unsettled, like every laugh was another stone dropped inside it. He kept his head down, hoping no one noticed how quiet he'd become. But of course someone did. His father glanced at him, eyes narrowing for a moment, as if he sensed something was off. But he didn't ask. He never did. His father lived by a simple rule. If someone wants to talk, they will. If they don't, he won't make them. And Evan had never given him a reason to push. His mother, too distracted by her own jokes, didn't notice anything. She turned to her sister and said, I told Evan he needs to meet a nice girl. Someone proper. Someone with a good family. She winked at him. Don't worry, sweetheart. Your mother will help you find someone. I have a list. Of women she wanted him to meet. Meanwhile, the love of his life was probably curled on their couch reading a book under a soft blanket, unaware that her very existence was being replaced by imaginary matches. He clenched his jaw, breathing slowly through his nose. His mother wasn't cruel. She wasn't trying to hurt him. She simply thought she knew what was best for him. She always had an image of how his life should look: stable job, nice house, pretty wife from a respectable family, to children, and maybe a dog. But Mara didn't fit that picture. Mara was soft-spoken, artistic. living a life full of small, gentle things rather than grand plans or traditional expectations. She didn't come from a big family. She didn't come from wealth. She didn't have the kind of background his mother imagined for her son. But she had a heart so big it made him feel like he had finally found a place where he was understood completely. And yet, it had hidden her. He hated himself for it. The dinner went on, but to Evan, the voices around him blurred into a meaningless buzz. His mother's laughter felt like it was echoing against a thick wall inside him. His heart beat unevenly. His throat felt tight. Every time someone said single, the word stabbed like a needle. He wasn't angry at them. He was angry at himself. He had allowed his fear to grow roots. He had allowed silence to become a habit. He had allowed months to pass without telling the truth, thinking he could choose the right moment. But no moment ever felt right. So he kept waiting. His mother poured more tea and continued, talking about matchmaking and how she had met a nice girl at the grocery store who would be perfect for him. His cousin joked about making Evan a profile on a dating app. His aunt said maybe he needed a little push. A push? Evan felt like he was being pushed off a cliff already. He kept nodding, smiling weakly, pretending everything was normal. But inside, he felt like a balloon stretched too tight, ready to burst. His secret was rising in his throat, wanting to spill out, wanting to end the lies, wanting to breathe. But he didn't speak. He didn't say anything, because deep down, he feared that once the truth came out, everything would change. He feared his mother's disappointment. He feared the questions. He feared the judgment. He feared the idea that his family might look at Mara and not see what he saw in her. He loved them. He loved her. And somehow he had managed to get stuck between both worlds, unable to choose which side to hurt first. By the time dessert arrived to Paul, Kai, his mother baked with extra cinnamon, felt exhausted. His mother took one look at him and laughed lightly, tapping his arm with her spoon. "What's with that face?" she teased. "I'm only joking. Don't look so serious. Your time will come." He forced a smile. "Yeah, maybe." His mother's voice softened. "You just need to put yourself out there. Love won't fall into your lap if you keep waiting." It already had. And he had married her, but he couldn't say it. Not yet. When the evening finally came to an end, Evan stood up to leave, hugged his parents, thanked them for dinner, and grabbed his coat. His mother followed him to the door, her tone softening again as she helped him slide one arm into the sleeve. "You know, I only tease because I love you, right?" she said, giving him that same warm, motherly smile he had seen since childhood. "I know," he whispered. "Don't worry," she added, squeezing his hand. "You'll find someone beautiful and loving one day." His throat tightened painfully. "Yeah, maybe." He walked out into the cool night air and gently closed the door behind him. He stood on the porch for a moment, breathing deeply, letting the quiet settle around him. The stars were dim, the street empty, the cold breeze brushing past him like a sigh. Then he whispered to himself, barely audible, "If only you knew." Because he had already found someone beautiful, someone loving, someone worth every risk. He drove home through quiet streets, headlights cutting through the darkness. Each red light felt like a moment to reflect, each turn a reminder of how far he had drifted from the truth. He parked outside the small apartment building where he and Mara lived. Warm yellow light poured out from their living room window. She was home. She was waiting. She always waited as he climbed the stairs. He felt the guilt turn heavier. The closer he got to the door, the more he wished he could rewind time and tell the truth earlier. He unlocked the door and stepped inside. The familiar warmth wrapped around him instantly. The scent of tea and the faint music playing from the small speaker made the apartment feel like a sanctuary. And there she was, Mara, curled on the couch, wearing one of his sweaters, her hair tied loosely, her eyes lifting toward him with gentle concern. "You're late," she said softly. He stood there for a second, staring at her, realizing how much he'd hurt her by hiding her from the people he loved. And in that moment, he knew something had to change. He couldn't keep living between two worlds. Not when the woman in front of him deserved all of him, not just the parts he wasn't afraid to show. When Evan stepped into the apartment, he instantly saw the warm glow from the small lamp beside the couch and the soft blanket wrapped around Mara's legs. She looked like comfort itself, quiet, patient, delicate in the way she breathed. For a moment, he just stood there, watching her, feeling both grateful and guilty at the same time. "You're late," she said. Not accusingly, but with a worried softness that made his chest tighten. She set her book aside, pushing a strand of hair behind her ear. Evan walked toward her slowly, like someone approaching a place they weren't sure they deserved to enter. He sat down beside her and leaned his head gently on her shoulder. The familiar scent of her mix of jasmine shampoo and something warm calmed him instantly. "Family dinner," he murmured. Those two words explained everything. Mara sighed softly, stroking her fingers through his hair. "Rough night?" He didn't answer at first. Mara waited because she always did. She understood silence better than most people understood words. After a moment, he whispered, "She joked about me being single again." Mara closed her eyes for a breath. "And she still has no idea." Evan nodded slowly. "None." The living room fell quiet. Only the quiet hum of the heater and the distant sound of cars moving outside filled the silence. Mara's thumb brushed the side of his cheek, gentle and steady. "I'm not upset," she said finally. "I just want us to live free." You know, he knew. He knew better than anyone. Every day that passed with their marriage hidden felt like another step away from freedom. It wasn't that he didn't want to tell his family. He did. But fear had a way of convincing him to wait one more day, and another, until the days stacked into weeks, then months. Mara tucked her legs beneath her, turning slightly to face him. "Evan, listen. I don't want you to feel trapped. I don't want you to feel like choosing me means losing them." "You won't make me lose them," Evan said quickly, almost too fast. "That's not what this is about." "Then what is it?" The question hung in the air like mist. He felt it touch every part of him. He lifted his head and exhaled. "I'm scared. I'm scared they'll judge us. I'm scared they'll think we rushed. I'm scared they won't see you the way I see you. My mom, she holds on so tightly to her expectations. She has an idea of the woman she thinks I should be with. Someone from a similar background. Someone she can brag about. Someone who fits into her world." Mara lowered her eyes. She had heard this fear before, but it still stung. "And you don't think I fit?" "That's not what I said. But that's what you feel." He swallowed hard. "I feel scared, Mara. Not because of you. Never because of you. I'm scared because I love you, and if they don't accept you, I don't know what I'll do. I don't know how to stand in the middle of both worlds." Mara pressed her lips together, absorbing his words like someone used to making room for other people's fears. Her soft features dimmed for a moment, not with anger, but with quiet sadness. "Evan," she said gently, "I never asked for a big celebration or a fancy wedding. I never wanted anything flashy. But I also never imagined being someone's hidden wife." Those words pierced him deeply. She wasn't accusing him. She was confessing a wound. He reached for her hand, holding it with both of his. "I know. I'm sorry. I'm trying to figure out the right time." She gave a small, bittersweet smile. "There is no right time. There is only now or later, and later keeps stretching." He rested his forehead against her shoulder again. Mara's fingers resumed their slow strokes along his hair. But this time the tenderness felt tinged with a question. "How long can we live like this? You remember our wedding day?" she asked softly. He lifted his head, eyes softening. "Of course I do." She smiled, a real smile this time. It was so small, it felt like something we dreamed rather than actually did. Just us, two friends, that tiny room, and the rain outside. He nodded. He remembered it all. The rain tapping the windows like quiet applause. The trembling in Mara's hands when she slid the ring onto his finger. The way her eyes had shimmered, afraid, hopeful, full of love. "I said yes," she whispered, "'cause I felt sure you were my person." I still feel that. But I want to be part of your whole life, not just the part you hide from the world." Her voice cracked slightly at the edges, so small it would have been easy to miss. But Evan heard every tremble. He cupped her face gently. "I know you deserve more. And I want to give you everything. I'm just terrified." Mara leaned into his touch. "Then let's face the fear together. Don't carry it alone." Her words soothed him the way warm sunlight does after a storm, but they also made him realize just how unfair he'd been. She had never asked for perfection. She had never asked for approval. She had only asked to be seen, to exist in his life openly, honestly, fully. He kissed her forehead, a slow, painful kiss. "I'll tell them soon. I promise." Steen nodded, accepting the promise even though she wasn't sure when soon would come. Just as she pulled back to stand, his phone vibrated on the coffee table. The sound sliced through the calm moment like a blade. Evan reached for it without thinking. The screen lit up with a message from his mother. "Call me. Urgent." He froze. Mara leaned closer, eyes searching his face. "Is it bad?" "I don't know," he said quietly. His heart beat faster, each thump heavier than the last. His mother rarely sent urgent messages, and when she did, it usually meant something serious had happened. His mind spun into 1,000 directions at once. Someone sick, something wrong, some family emergency. But another thought chilled him. What if she had gone through his jacket again? What if she had found something? A receipt. A forgotten picture. A message. He swallowed hard. Mara touched his arm. "Evan, answer her." His fingers shook as he typed back. "Is everything okay?" The reply came within seconds. "Come over tomorrow morning. We need to talk." Need to talk. For words that sounded like the door to a storm, Evan placed the phone down slowly. Mara watched him carefully, her eyes tracing the tension gathering in his shoulders. "What do you think it is?" She whispered. "I don't know," he murmured. "But something feels off." Mara leaned back slightly, trying to stay calm, but worry flickered behind her eyes. "Do you think she knows?" "I don't know," he said again. The words sounding weak even to him. His mind began replaying every moment from the last week. The day his mother had borrowed his phone to look at some photos. The time he left his jacket on the chair, the pocket where he had kept the marriage license receipt for months before forgetting to move it. Had he been careless? Had fate decided it was time? He stood abruptly, pacing across the room. Mara watched him anxiously, twisting her fingers together. "Evan," she said gently. "Whatever it is, you can face it." He didn't respond. His thoughts were running too fast for words to catch them. He could handle an argument. He could handle disappointment. But he didn't know if he could handle hurting the two people. He loved most his mother and his wife at the same time. After a few minutes of pacing, he stopped and leaned against the wall, breathing hard as if he had run miles. Mara walked to him, placing her hands on his chest, grounding him. "Hey," she whispered. "Look at me. Heidi. You don't have to do this alone. I'm with you. Whatever she says, whatever happens, we face it together." He held her tightly, burying his face in her hair, inhaling deeply as if trying to breathe in courage. They stood like that for a long moment when they finally went to bed. The night felt heavier than any before. Evan lay awake beside Mara, listening to her soft breathing, trying to calm the storm inside him. She slept curled against him, trusting him, believing in him. Unaware that he was terrified of the morning to come, when dawn slowly crept into the room, Evan still hadn't slept. He watched the sunlight filter across the ceiling, painting thin lines across the walls. His heart felt like it had been beating all night without rest. Mara stirred beside him. "Morning," she whispered, pushing herself up on her elbow to look at him. "You didn't sleep," she said softly, touching his cheek. He shook his head. But then he breathed in, steadied himself, and gave her a small, tired smile. "I'll go. I'll talk to her." Mara squeezed his hand. "Be honest." He nodded, though honesty felt like stepping into fire. He dressed quietly, kissed her forehead again. and left the apartment with a heart full of fear and hope tangled together. He had no idea what his mother wanted to talk about.